Welcome back. Technology seems to be making our working lives easier these days, but could this come back to bite us in the future and actually do us out of a job? Business futurist Morris Myslowski, I hope I pronounced that right.
Of course you have.
It's a tricky one. Myslowski says some jobs are in danger of disappearing in just 10 years' time. I started my show on positivity, now you're telling us we're losing jobs. So
it's still positive. Not that we're losing jobs, that's never a positive, but we have to remember that as we lose them, we're going to gain them as well.
Yeah.
And all through millenniums, whenever we've had work, as we evolve our technology, our culture and our needs, unfortunately, nothing good to be said about it, people lose their jobs and have to reskill.
Morris, I've often had on this show the guy who started freelancer.com, Matt, and I worry about that in many ways because, you know, he's spreading the jobs around the world. So jobs that might have been here are now going to go to Bangladesh and whatever. Is this going to get bigger and bigger in the sense that businesses here, businesses in the US, will start accessing employees or contractors right around the world?
I think it is. It's a casualised labour workforce, and it plays into the way that we're going to work in the future. I don't think we're going to have one steady job moving forward. I think, in fact, what we're going to do is work to what I call a portfolio life, and that is we're going to work dynamically. We'll do what and where is appropriate. So we'll have a core job, and we'll make money from that, but then as we need extra income, want to use some different talents, want to do some different things, we'll do other things during the week as well as play golf.
Are you seeing young people do this?
I am, and I'm seeing people of my age do it. I actually had a conversation today with someone who works the same way. We know what has to get done. We're adults. We know the job has to be done by a certain time with a certain specification. I don't need to sit here and give you a litre of my sweat to prove I've done my job. The outcome is the outcome. And in between that, I'll do other things. So as part of that casualised labour that you talked about, the reality is that I'll be able to pick up some other work on that, and maybe as an employer, I'll be able to find somebody to do some work.
But clearly the union movement is going to lean against this because they've always hated the idea that an employee becomes a contractor. And so that's going to be an institutional barrier to what you think is just going to be an evolutionary process, I presume.
I actually had this conversation in a boardroom 3 weeks ago in Sydney, exactly that, and a conversation with union as well, and you're right, on face they're dead against it. But it makes perfect sense moving forward. We're not going to have enough jobs for everybody, as much as we want to. In the wonderful country that Australia is, we're not going to have enough full-time employment. We're going to have to find another way to cut and dice it. I don't want everyone to go on this, obviously not.
No.
But for those that can't find full-time, don't want to find full-time, aren't able to, this is a way to find gainful employment.
Do you think unemployment will rise and that will be the stimulus for governments to look at alternatives to encourage people to become contractors and make it easier for employers to put contractors in where currently they have employees?
I think we're going to have to look at what unemployment is too. We're going to have a lot of people. We're putting on another 20 million so by the year of 2050. We're going to lose lots of jobs. I think we're going to have underemployed people, and I think that's going to be the big issue, and we need to look at it from that viewpoint.
What is going to be the big technological change that's going to really disrupt the way we do work?
I don't think there's a single one. There's lots of them. We know, for instance, that big data, which is the ability for...
What is big data? But everyone hears it, but they don't know what it is.
It really is. It's the extension of human inquisition. Throughout our lives, throughout history, we've always wanted to know more than we currently know. With technology, we know it's a huge library, a huge resource. And what we can do with technology is ask the technology, the computer itself, to mine through all of that and find me only the things I want to know, bring back to me what's relevant. Big data is really technology's ability to understand your needs, to scour the entire internet in a split second and bring you back information that you can then use.
So when we put a request into Google, for example, are we in a sense doing a small version of what big data represents?
But the difference with big data moving forward is that you've asked Google to do something. Big data plays beautifully when you haven't asked it, when it actually anticipates what you need. So it knows enough about you and maybe about your bank account or where you're travelling or what's coming up in your life, and it can say, well, this is the way it might have been, but here's some additional information that changes it.
So you're saying that Google, if you like, or something like it, will learn about you and effectively profile you and say, as a consequence, this is all the information that you really want to be interested in. Even though you don't know, this is what we think you're interested in.
But the information's specific to you. So there's an app called Google Now that you can download for free. With your permission, it has access to your diary and to your Google searches. Again, your permission.
Yeah.
No one else knows the information. I use it all the time. It tracks for me in advance.
You're Googleized, are you?
I'm Googleized. But again, I'm sensible because I know what I'm trading off. So I haven't given it permission for things I'm not comfortable with. And I've said to it, track my life. So coming in here, it tracks the traffic for me. Tomorrow, it tracks my flights for me. It keeps my appointments up to date. It figures out...
You're replacing a PA?
Yes, in many ways. It's my digital PA. It's telling me in advance of me even having to think about it, where my life's headed in the next 24 hours from a logistics viewpoint, diary viewpoint, and other things.
So as a classic example, where once upon a time you might have had a PA, and may well have been a part-time, a person working from home with kids at home, but she was watching your diary and making sure you didn't miss planes. In a sense, that job could be replaced.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's a routinized job.
Yeah.
Now, ANZ is using it in wealth management. So they use IBM Watson in their wealth management for their high net worth individuals. And they monitor, they being with permission, they monitor all the transactions of the high net worth, all of their stocks, everything else. And where there's something untoward, it's flagged and sent to the advisor. And the advisor will then attach wisdom to it and, if necessary, action it. But the advisor, even with the best of intention, and they're wonderful people, can't sit there all day monitoring everything.
Yeah.
So this is an assist to them.
And I guess over time, there will be clients who will say, I have the wisdom to make that decision. I don't need the advisor, but I do want the alerts that come from this computerised automatic flagging system. So over time, some advisors could be replaced because just the nature of the client. At the moment, it's a standard system. The good and the bad client get an advisor, but over time they could be replaced.
So I think what we're going to head into there is where there's transaction. In other words, where the investor feels that she or he is savvy enough and all they want is just that up to date, there'll be a particular portion of the marketplace that'll suit that. Just as there are now accountants that just offer statutory returns. But for those that want more wisdom, that actually want somebody's input beyond their own, they will pay for that. And I think in the end, you and I down the track are going to pay for wisdom, not really transaction.
So given the fact that there's, I guess you're arguing that there won't be the same kind of jobs in a relative supply that we're used to. So the advice must be get really competitive so you can actually sell your personal brand as a contractor, because that's probably going to be the best way to cope with the new world coming?
I think it's going to be one of the best ways to do it. Really get clear about your core. What is it you offer? Don't get hung up on the way that you offer it, the technology you offer it through, because that's always going to
You
be
need a
evolve.
competitive advantage, you're saying, aren't you?
Exactly. If you know what you are and what you can offer, then you need to be solid to that and then keep open to the possibilities of how that might be done tomorrow and beyond.
I know some people occasionally get employed because that's what their potential employer wants to do. Some people then become contractors in other phases because that's what their potential contract employer wants. Now, look, the bottom line is this, we're out of time, but have you written stuff so people can go to a website?
Absolutely.
Yeah, what's the website?
So if you go to businessfuturist.com.
That's a good website.
It's not bad.
You must have been really happy when you got that before everybody else.
I was, absolutely.
All right, Morris, thanks for joining us.
A pleasure.
Morris Misalowski. Gee, I'm going to practice that. And your website is businessfuturist.com.
That's it.
Thanks for joining us, mate.
A pleasure.
He's come all the way from Melbourne too.